don't know where to actually begin and like recall my Solo-EVO experience and all that. Now that the weekend's over and EVO finals have concluded and my cat has decided to take over my lap, which, you know, that's just what he does. He's very, very demanding. But, you know, I don't really know where to actually begin on this solo experience. You know, I sit there and I think to myself, you know, I was really hesitant on actually going. And, you know, it was thanks to friends, family members that basically told me that I should just go, right? And just, you know, make the most of it, because, like, you know, I already got my ticket. I'm already in the bracket. I might as well just go and experience it and, you know, basically to go and see like how different the experience could potentially be by just going solo. So I guess like the first thing that I can kind of like talk about is the fact that I drove up there, and that was kind of a weird thing because I haven't driven to Vegas myself, like in my own car, in many years, and probably the only reason that I have to go between Phoenix and Vegas was when I was traveling to Salt Lake City. That was pretty much usually the only reason to like see family members. So it was kind of weird, but it was also kind of cathartic in a way, simply because I got to like re-listen to a bunch of music and stuff that allowed me to like think and just, you know, kind of live in the moment a little bit. So I did take some pictures, and I'm kind of happy that I did. Of course, I think I have to go through my archives somehow. Here we go. I think this is how we do it. Okay, great. Yeah. So my first day that I got there, see where I can find it. Okay, yeah. So, you know, of course I did my road trip, took a couple of pictures, had my phone on the dash and stuff. And like I was saying, I had music playing, and Silverstein is always like a, you know, it's always a good, at least for me, I think it's always a good one for me to listen to. And I crushed through every album that I actually had on my little USB while I was getting up there. Crushed every single one of them. And of course, you know, once I actually got there and got my hotel, had to go and do my Duolingo lesson. Hit 1975 that day. I was quite, you know, sometimes I just lose track of the days, like how many days I've actually have kept up on this. So of course I had to like kind of show it off to whoever follows me, and because I know someone's gonna be like, how is this possible, and what in the world is wrong with you, you know? And you know, it's just kind of at this point it's just kind of a fun thing to just keep up on, really. So anyway, I get to the venue, and this is the second year in a row that EVO Vegas, or however, you know, people want to call it these days, where they are in the convention center. And if I remember correctly, they were traditionally always at the Mandalay Bay. And so this is the second year in a row that they decided to be in the convention center. Really nice venue, lots of room and all that. And the first thing, of course, this is just a video of me like talking, and like right when I got in, it was super noisy, and however I remembered the exact structure of everything, like how everything was laid out the last time, was not the same. They basically moved a bunch of stuff around. Where the matches were being played were the same, but where they put some of the like the Arxis booth and other booths and stuff like that, where they put those things were in different spots, where they put the arcade area was in a completely different place. Like it used to be like in this very back corner the last time, and now it was like just set in some other location, which right here I paused it, but like if you like kept walking, there was just you ended up running into a couple more like shop kind of things, and then you ran into the arcades. And of course, this is a picture of my controller, and when I had put it back together, I left the artwork off, and I was actually kind of surprised no one asked about this. No one asked about like how jank this thing was or how weird it is. I think, and the only reason why someone actually asked me about it is they asked if I did this myself, and of course I had to say yes. But the only reason why the conversation came up is because I kept seeing people pull up with like their controllers, and they kept having this, they kept plugging in with this, with a Brook product. Let's see if I can actually find this, because I thought this was interesting, because I've been trying to figure out, because at some point I will build a new controller, or I'll get a new one, and it's like, okay, I need to know, you know, what I need, and I keep seeing people with this, like this particular device that actually helps them, and of course it allowed me to kind of ask, like, okay, do you feel any latency? Does it just work? And everyone kept saying positive things, and I guess it kind of makes sense, because my controller is also a Brook, has a Brook PCB, so of course it, you know, you gotta expect at least the quality out of it. But yeah, no one really asked me about my controller, but I know my friends and my boys, like, I know they judge me for my layout, they judge me for my setup, and that's okay. It's just, sometimes it's just how it has to be. So my match was at like 5 p.m. And so I'm walking around just kind of checking things out, and I ran into this. I ran into a 4-player Pac-Man battle thing. And I thought I had recognized this. I thought I had seen this before. And I couldn't remember where I saw it before. And it really is exactly what you probably think it is. It's, you know, you have like 3 or 4 players playing Pac-Man, and literally the goal is to, of course, get the power-ups, and I mean, you can eat the ghosts if you want, but you're supposed to eat the opponents so you can win the rounds and such like that. And I played about 3 rounds of this with everybody, so that was kind of cool. And then, you know, I kept walking around, and then just kind of keeping myself occupied. And on the other side of the wall of the Arxis area, they had a bunch of like artwork, right? And this is just from a bunch of creators, which I actually really liked this. The one piece of art that I really liked was this Giovanna one, because Giovanna, at least in the game, all she wears is like a really tight fitting button-up shirt, you know, with suspenders. But in this one, they gave her a green shirt, and they just like gave her a, you know, they gave her kind of a lab coat kind of a thing. And I kind of liked that. I really liked the concept there, but you know. And then I ran into a shop that did a lot of like crocheting and a lot of, did a lot of, I'm blanking on my words, but a lot of the stuff was like crochet stuff, and like, of course, you got the cute little sunflowers and other kind of goofy things, and they had a bunch of stuff actually. I don't think I have it in this reel. I think I have it in my post somewhere, but I actually ended up buying 2 of the things, and I actually have one of them on my desk right here next to me. It's I got my little flower, my little strawberry, right? And so I kept going, and there was a booth where they were actually making 3D printed controllers. And I thought it was rather interesting. And of course, I sent a picture to a friend of mine, Russell, and the first thing he said, he's just like, you know what? These controllers are worse than yours. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll take that as a compliment. But I thought it was interesting, and actually pushing on the buttons was actually it actually felt nice, surprisingly. But I kind of wonder if these were, if these are more just like for the novelty and not for like anything particularly serious. I'm not entirely sure, but I thought it was interesting. So 5 p.m. arrives, and I'm ready to play my match, or getting ready, and I got there probably like 30 minutes early. And I had already been practicing and trying to get used to the PlayStation latency because, I play on the PC. So, of course, everything is, for the most part, everything is pretty smooth and straightforward. And so I had spent some time a few hours prior before lunch to get used to, like, how it feels, because there is a clear difference. I don't know if latency is the right word, but there is a clear difference in, like, how it plays. So this fellow right here that's got the blue hair, he's got the camera. He was my first opponent. I believe his name was JT3. Pretty sure his actual name was Jason, I think. He was a Slayer player, and that match came down to the wire. It was, if I remember correctly, it was last match, last round, or maybe it wasn't last round. Maybe I was up a round on him. I can't exactly remember, but I did beat him, and he was stressing me out. Like, my heart rate was going up and everything. It was making me really nervous, but it was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of camaraderie. Like, we hit it off. It was actually really cool. And then my next match, I got the shit kicked out of me. This Potemkin just completely just destroyed me. Like, I stood no chance against this guy. So both me and this fellow that I'm pointing out, we're both in the losers bracket. The good news is that we didn't have to face each other again and do a run back, because in my bracket there could be 2 winners and 2 losers leaving to round 2. So both he and I were in 2 separate spots in the losers bracket, and I believe I took a picture of it in one of my posts, so I'll show it. But we were actually rooting for each other, and we were rooting for each other a lot, trying to get through. He was the only one that made it out of the losers bracket. Between me and him is what I mean, is like he made it out, I didn't, and the only reason why I didn't was because my controller disconnected, and that's considered a round loss. So, and I was already down a round. It was last match, last round. What can you do about it, right? I feel like I had a chance, but it just didn't pan out. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But there is a takeaway to this, though. There is a takeaway. The takeaway, though, is the Bridget that I beat before the Biken that beat me. He and the Slayer had both asked me for advice on the matchup, and so like in Guilty Gear I play Anji, and they just couldn't understand some of the things I was doing, and I don't know if it's because they don't see enough Anjis, or maybe there's things that I'm doing that maybe the typical Anji doesn't do. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really ask about that. But they did ask me for advice on what to do. Like, they asked me about, the Bridget player asked me about, like, safe jumps that I kept stuffing him on and all that. Made me feel actually really good about myself, because it made me feel like, oh, I must be improving. Because if someone is coming up to me asking me for advice, or ask me, okay, why was this working on me? What do I do about it? It makes me feel like I clearly have improved, and I've clearly become a better player, right? So, I take that as an extremely, extremely high compliment. So, and of course, I had my walk of shame back to my hotel room because I was going back to my hotel room to unwind, unpack my controller and all that, and shower up because I was gonna go to a magic show. And so I actually went and saw Penn and Teller that night, and I'm just gonna be straight up. That it was a great show. I had 2 tickets, and unfortunately, it was just me. I actually was trying to find. That Jason fellow to see if he, if he would if he was doing anything. Like, hey, I got this extra ticket. If you're down, I don't know if he was with anybody, to be honest, but I ended up going by myself. It was a phenomenal show. It's a really great show, and it was like after that show, I thought to myself oh, this must be like the rite of passage for vacationing in Vegas. You gotta see Penn and Teller at least once, right? That's all I have to really say. It was actually a phenomenal show. And of course, then I got back, got some food, and drank 2 margaritas, and I somehow didn't wake up with a hangover. It was kind of weird. But the hotel casino I was at, Fontainebleau, it was actually a great place. They had a nice gym set up in there too. So of course I went and decided to go work it off and all that the next morning. And might as well, right? So I went back because I told myself, okay, well, the day before I was too focused on just looking at things and getting ready for my match, right? So I thought to myself, okay, there's some things I want to buy, right? And like I said, I bought this little crochet I actually bought 2. I bought this one, and then the other one is in my kitchen. But they had a bunch of other stuff, right? It wasn't just the flowers and stuff. They had a bunch of stuff. They had some anime related stuff. They had Garfield, Snoopy, they had Stitch, some Hello Kitty stuff here. Tom and Jerry was over here, Mickey and Minnie Mouse. There was a large assortment of stuff, and you can't help but feel like you want to support artists, right? And so I felt so obligated to get something because I just thought they were just cute enough that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a couple of these. And so I bought the flowers, and I thought it was a perfect little thing to get. So then I went to go get some keychains, and that's when I met up with the Slayer player again, and he had his camera out, and he was calling me his goat and all that, and I'm just like that's a nice compliment. That made me feel pretty good about myself. I felt really good about that, and it was I'm like, man, y'all don't need to hype me up like that, but it made me feel pretty good about myself. And then we actually got into theory crafting and talking about okay, he actually asked me very specific questions this time about the things that I did to him in our match and all that, and then we add each other on Discord. So I hope we actually get to run some sets at some point. I'm not sure when we're gonna do that, but hopefully very, very soon. But anyway, went to go get some keychains, and of course I had to take a picture of this. So if anyone knows about Neko Arc, you just can't help yourself. But it's true, if you hit the keys, those keys right there, they actually did light up. I wish I had recorded a video, but there were so many people around, I didn't want to hold up the line. So anyway, I bought 3 keychains, and so the deal is that if you buy 3, of course, it's a little bit cheaper to buy things in bulk. But the woman was so nice, and she explained, okay, hey, you can pick any one of these holographic cards. They're face down, and so you just kind of pick whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I picked this, and immediately I got one of my favorite Skullgirls characters. Who could have predicted this? I got Miss Fortune out of it, and it's a beautiful card, right? I've kept it in the sleeve, right? So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. I was kind of wondering if maybe I should frame this with something or another, or frame it with a bunch of assortment stuff that I can put on my wall or whatever. Not sure what I want to do just yet. So anyway, started walking around a little bit more, taking just a few more pictures where I could. Come here, big guy. I'm telling a story. You gotta say hi to the camera. Okay, he's not happy. Anyway, so at the Arxis area, they had like this little replica motorcycle thing that Soul rides. And these are all the 4 characters from the latest season. We got Venom, Unica, and Dizzy. Lucy is up next. Like, her trailer had come out, I think, yesterday. So I'm looking forward to giving her a try and learning her a little bit and going from there. And of course, they also announced 2.0 for Strive, whatever the hell that means. So I mean, people are like thinking like, oh yeah, they're just gonna do this big update and then just never touch it again. It's possible. Whoever, whatever happens, right? So I bought some posters. And I actually have them right here. So I bought 2 and they gave me a 3rd for free. And now if this thing cannot... And so I bought 3 of them. And let's see if I can pull them out. Hey, come on, get up. So let me do this real quick. There we go. So let me pull these out real quick. I have frames coming in tomorrow, so I can hopefully get these on my wall. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, so I bought 3 of them. So of course that one I got the I got this tape or this cassette thing that I think this is actually really cool. I really like, I don't know, that something drew me into this style. Something about the style just drew me in. And I just had to buy a couple of them, right? So that's one of them. And then the other one, I saw it too, and I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, I'm gonna pick this one. And it's chess related. And it's like, of course I gotta do it, because I grew up playing chess with my dad. And I still try to play here and there. Of course, I'm really bad these days, but well, I mean, I guess I was always bad, comparatively, relatively speaking to a lot of people, but I just had to, right? It was just so wonderful. So anyway, I got the choice because I bought 2. They said, hey, you can get a 3rd one for free. I'm like, all right, say less. And so I got one for Russell because I know he loves Mahjong and used to play it a lot. I believe, if I remember correctly, he said he played it a lot when he was younger, and he definitely misses playing. So, of course, I had to grab this for him, right? Anyway, yeah, these are beautiful posters, beautiful art prints. The only problem that I have, the only thing that I kind of find weird about them is their dimensions. So like today I went and tried to go find frames, and a couple of the places I looked at, like, they didn't have this size. So like this is 11 by 17, which is kind of an awkward size because it's kind of awkward because it's not a standard expected size, right? So I just kind of dealt with it. But anyway, before I move on, I do recommend, like, if you like this style, definitely support Zero Type. I love this aesthetic. It's really, 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 really awesome. So anyway, I kept walking around. My mom had asked me to ask some of the creators or some of the people who had their art booths, like, she asked me, like, can you ask them, like, okay, what does it take to get your own booth, and how much does it cost, and stuff like that. And I asked the guy, like, yeah, just point blank, like, how does this work? And he said, okay, you get the opportunity to sign up, and you basically have to have a portfolio that they look at, and if they accept you, they let you know, and then you got to pay some amount of money to have your table, and the amount goes up, I think, by the size, right? And that doesn't surprise me because at a lot of the Linux Fest events or open source related events that I would go to, the concept was the same. Like, the bigger the table, the higher the price was, right? And I kind of feel bad because I actually meant to buy I actually meant to buy one of these prints because it was that artist was literally there. I actually meant to buy that Giovanna one. It just didn't pan out. So anyway, I start walking around checking other things out again, and I run into the Victrix table, and I've always been interested in these controllers. The problem is you all saw my you saw my controller earlier, right? It's this really bizarro lefty thing, and the inputs are not in a standard place. So I actually had asked them if they were ever going to make a lefty one and all that, because they had recently put out a model that was very customizable, and I asked them, like, are you ever going to make a lefty one? Because I really want to try out these controllers. I really want to give it a chance, but I can't because they don't have lefty ones. And they're open to doing it, but I guess they just, a lot of these companies, they have to sit there and weigh, is it worth it, right? Is it worth the manufacturing time? Is it worth the cost? Is really what it mostly boils down to, right? But they said it was great feedback, so who knows if they do make a lefty version of their modular one, I will definitely give it a try. But that assumes they get one done before I build a new controller. So anyway, kept walking around. There's some more plushies. I thought these were kind of cute. I actually was very tempted to actually pick up this one right here. I actually was very, very tempted to pick this one up, but I'm just like, and I just kind of moved on. And then I found another booth where they had a machine that they could print whatever thing that you wanted on top of the controller you were going to get from them, because all their controllers were heavy. Like, they were straight up just full on metal, right? And they had the machine right there, and they could put whatever artwork and stuff that you actually wanted on it. And of course, I had to take this picture because Sajam Slam, right? So I have thoroughly enjoyed watching the Sajam Slam and all that as much as a lot of other people. So of course I had to take a picture of it. And then these are the keychains that I got. They're basically the kitty versions of some of the characters I like in Guilty Gear. So we have Giovanna, got Elfelt, and we got Anji. This Elfelt one actually is double-sided. Like, it has a different animation on the side. I mean, I can actually grab this real quick. So basically, we have, we got that. So we have this, right? And if anyone knows Elfelt, she's like in Strive, at least, she's just like this punk rock singer and all that stuff. So of course we have this side, and she's got the little microphone, and then that's when she's doing her screaming, yelling, or whatever she's deciding to do on that particular moment. It's super cool. The other two don't. The other two don't actually have that, right? So sometimes it's just how it has to be. And there it is. There's the second one. Yeah. So I did take a picture of both of them. So the second one, yeah, it's right there. That crocheted one is in my kitchen. Oh goodness, dropping stuff. There it is. Goodness. Okay. So at this point, I'm driving home and all that. I finally get home. Again, it's the drive is grueling. The drive is such a pain in the friggin' ass, but you know what? Gives you time to think, right? And so I ended up stopping at Coffee Bean, and Coffee Bean, I go there at least once a week. Usually, so what I tell people is give Coffee Bean a try. And the reason why I say that is I find Coffee Bean to be better than Starbucks in a lot of ways. So I just tell people, give it a try. They got plenty of coffees, plenty of teas. They got plenty of like, ice blended stuff. My favorite is, of course, their ice blended dark chocolate stuff. And then, of course, they put coffee in it, so it just gets me all wired. But it's good. It's good stuff. Then and that's where I have my flower. I have it next to my little bowl and my little Tails doll and all that, right? And of course, my cat wanted all the, he wanted all the, you wanted all the attention in the world, right when I got home. Can you blame him, right? And, yeah, this was the shirt. Oops. Yeah, this was the shirt that came with my ticket, so I thought it was pretty nice, comparatively speaking to everything else. So, post-wise, so I think I have a couple of other pictures here. Oh yeah, so there's my bracket. So this was the bracket that I was talking about. So this was the loser side. So I was up here, and yeah, see, there's JT3. He made it, so he got his Chipotle card. I didn't, which is, I swear the goal really for me is not to get far into round 2. My goal is to get a Chipotle card. That's it. That's all I want. I just want a Chipotle card. Life is hard sometimes, right? But yeah, so it was right here. So I can actually look at this and say, okay, I got placed right here after I lost. And I believe Ewok was a Sin player, so I beat him soundedly. And then this player was the Bridget player. And that went 3-1. He actually beat me one of the matches. And if I remember correctly, it was because I screwed up. I think I was getting a little too... I think I got a little too cocky and just let shit just go. And I'm like, okay, I can't let this happen. And so I locked back in and beat him. He ended up like finishing it up. And then right here, yeah, I ended up losing right here. Life is just hard sometimes. Yeah, and pretty much the same pictures for the most part. Oh yeah, this was the last thing. I thought this was cool too. They had there was like a little area. I don't remember exactly what it was for or what it was actually about, but they had a camera set up, and I believe that's the camera right there. I can't remember. Maybe that is the camera, but I had walked by it and they had all the TVs on, and I was just like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. And I noticed it was tracking me. I saw myself on it. So it's like, of course I gotta take a picture of this, right? Like, why wouldn't I, right? It was just super, I thought it was just like really, really cool. And that wasn't the only place they had that. They actually had another spot where they had a bunch of old TV sets and all that, but it was only, I don't think it was recording like this. I didn't think it had a camera like this does. I think what was happening, I think it was like the Evo, like a museum, like Evo History Museum or something of the sort. I think that's what it was. I didn't walk into it. It was just so crowded, and which is funny for me to say because Evo is just crowded in general, but that area was more crowded just in particular, so I just didn't want to walk into it, didn't want to deal with it, stuff like that. I was not interested in going through that whole thing, right? Sometimes it's just how it is. But yeah, so that's my whole Solo-EVO experience. I think if I were to go to Evo again and I was going to go solo, I think I would be okay, and I think it would still be an enjoyable experience. I do think that it was, at least for me, it was different because the first 2 times I went with a bunch of people. So it's like there was that kind of expectation. I wouldn't say expectation, but there was like that there was that expectation of like, hey, we're gonna spread out, then we're gonna meet back up, spread out, meet back up. We're gonna do all these like things on our own, but at the end of the day, we're gonna like meet up with each other and stuff. But I did figure out that since I was solo, I didn't really have like anything like concerning or tying me down or holding me to anything. And what I mean is like I didn't have a strict schedule. There was no expectations. So it gave me enough time to just kind of do my own thing and just be patient and just absorb everything and look at things at a different angle rather than just like in a hurry. Because I think because the last two times I went, it felt like everything was like in a hurry. And I think it was because I was with everyone and we were just trying to keep things in order. Um, and I guess probably me also going solo this time actually worked out because it allowed me to do actual Vegas things that didn't involve going to a casino. Because when people think of a casino or think of going to Vegas, when they think of going to Vegas, they don't think of like yeah, I can tell people yeah, I'm going to Vegas for Evo, but it's like people will hear Vegas and think, "Oh yeah, you're going there to gamble and do all that stuff." It's like there's a lot more in Vegas. And so going there to actually go to the magic show to see Penn and Teller and actually explore a little bit and do an actual Vegas thing that didn't involve going to like a blackjack table or something was actually um was actually cool. I actually really really like that. I guess the last thing I'll say is that the Fontainebleau that I stayed at, the only reason why I stayed that is because the year prior we had all gone there for food, not to stay there. We went there for the food, and I stayed there in one of the rooms. The rooms were really, oh my god, they were really nice, very spacious. The bed was nice. They have they're huge bathtub. Um, like you would walk into the room and all the lights and things would turn on automatically. The shades would open and just all these like cool little features and things that I just didn't expect. And I think I just didn't expect it because the first year we were at the Luxor, and the second year we were at um, a Marriott branded hotel. I forget what it was called. We were at Spring Hill Suites, so like I already kind of knew what to expect from that, but I definitely wasn't expecting what I got to see at the Fontainebleau. So I thought that was actually really cool. So if anyone like decides, or I do, or whoever decides like, oh, I want to go to Vegas, I want to be close to whatever, I want to experience XYZ. I'm gonna just say like give Fontainebleau a try. The rooms are a bit pricey per night, but you get what you pay for. And to be quite honest with you, the rooms are really really nice, and the entire experience of that place was great also. Like on the second floor they didn't just have the gym, but they had like other food stuff. Like they had like a little itty bitty cafe in there, um that I hung out in there for a little bit, drank a little bit of coffee by myself, and I thought that was interesting. And then they had like a little, the line was so long, but they had like a lot of like interesting healthy food options and stuff like that. I didn't get a chance to try it, but the menu looked great. um and like I said, I had a couple margaritas and all that. And I ended up getting like a breakfast burrito that had like chorizo and egg and had some other stuff in it too. That was just, I ate like a pig. That it was so freaking huge. That burrito was so huge. But I guess it didn't really matter because again I was two margaritas deep, so it's like at that point does it freaking matter, right? And the margaritas were really fucking strong. They were really really strong, but they were really really good. So but yeah, my experience, and you know, and I know I'm just talking. I know I'm probably just talking to myself, and you know, just kind of, you know, blabbering about. But like, really, to me, it's, you know, to me, it's really, it's basically me wanting to just document interesting stuff, and then, you know, putting it on my YouTube and like referencing it, and kind of just, I'm hoping that if I go to Evo next year, or maybe even Combo Breaker and stuff, I can continue to like talk about the experiences and be like, oh yeah, I can compare easily from one event to the next, or 1 year from the next, depending on what the event is, like Evo, and basically it's like, oh yeah, you know, I remember talking about this and that, these were the differences, because I didn't do that the first 2 times. I can only remember based on some of the pictures I took, and who was with me, right? Like the first year we went, that's when Street Fighter 6 came out, you know, and that was a big deal, you know, for example. You know, and I just have, you know, the older pictures of those events when it was, you know, the 3 of us cosplayed. And then last year it was just 2 of us, you know, and of course I didn't cosplay this year because I just didn't have any of my material, and you know, sometimes life just don't, you know, sometimes life is just not fair, and things just don't, you know, work out, and that's okay. You know, that's completely okay. But yeah, I'll definitely stay at the Fontainebleau again, and I will definitely and I'll definitely go to Evo again next year, regardless of what happens. But for now, God, my lip balm's all jacked up. But anyway, but for now, I guess, you know, we'll just go, and yeah, at this point now it's just mostly like, now it's mostly just, you know, keep playing, keep practicing, you know, wait for the next balance update, and then see what happens when the supposed 2.0 comes out. If I had to guess, the 2.0 thing will eventually come out, I don't know. I mean, if it tracks, I mean, if anything tracks, it would probably start, maybe not August, maybe not this month, but maybe October. Maybe October is probably when they will, you know, go and push that whole thing out, or whatever it's going to be. I'm honestly hoping that it's not just like, oh, we're going to do this big wild change and then never touch anything again. A lot of people are theorizing that, and I hope that's not what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't make a bunch of changes. What I'm saying is I hope they do it and then actually maintain it for another year or 2, right? Is what I'm kind of like hoping they do. You know, and there's some people saying like, oh, you know, they have another, you know, they probably have another Guilty Gear game that they've been building since 2024 or something, right? So, you know, who the heck knows, who the heck knows what's going to happen there. So we'll see what happens. I think as long as I just keep playing and I keep doing what I'm doing, because now I have just copious amounts of time. I have so much time on my hands now, and I'm, I don't know. I feel like now that I got plenty of time, I can just put a little bit more focus into this and probably other things, and you know, maybe I'll play 2XKO a little bit and actually compete in that. You know, probably won't get very far, but just like with Guilty Gear, give it a whirl and just kind of, you know, kind of see how it goes. I just want my freaking Chipotle card. That's all I want. I just want a Chipotle card. I don't ask for much. I just ask for a Chipotle card. Is it so wrong to want those things? Oops. Are you ready? Here comes Didn't even warm up, but we're just gonna do it anyway.